I'm sitting in London's West End at the Curzon Soho just prior to the exclusive Q&A screening of the film Abel, and I'm joined now by the maestro behind the film, Diego Luna. Diego, thanks for joining us and talking to DVD Outsider.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Being on countless film sets, I imagine that as an actor, you have that urge, you want to maybe one day direct yourself, and so few actors have done that as successfully as you have with tonight's film. So where is this coming from? Is this something you always wanted to do? Is it simply that you have the opportunity now, that you have the Hollywood career? Or is it some kind of Rudo Ikasi competitive type thing? Gael Garcia Bernal, he brings out his debut film Deficit, and you think to yourself, well, I've got to direct one now.
No, it's a necessity, man. It's been there for a long time. I always wanted to be a director, and just I wasn't ready. I never felt ready, and I was enjoying a lot my journey as an actor. But I did a documentary film like 3-4 years ago almost, and that was the first attempt, and I really liked the documentary. And the exciting part of that was to in a very organic process have the chance to start to deal with image and sound and the language of cinema. As an actor, you believe you know what's cinema, you believe you know how to do a film, but it's not really true. Actors, we spend just a little time of the process really working, and we're not part of the whole picture. Many times as an actor, you believe you're doing what kind of film, and then you get to watch it and it's another, So it took me time to decide to do it, but it's because I wanted to tell my own stories, And I had the story of Abel for at least, let's say, 6 years. I had it there waiting, and I never felt ready, And then I did my documentary. Then I got in love. I had a baby, and as soon as I realized I could be a father, I realized I could do many things, Many things I didn't know I was ready to do, and so one was directing.
Being a father directly affected the writing of this film?
Yeah, being a father basically was the last push this film had, or I had to in order to go and take the ride of directing my film. Definitely, it's a film about who I was as a kid, and that I had it clear for many years. But it's also a film about who I don't want to be as a father, So, and that just came when my baby came. I wanted also to do a film about, and it's quite a cliche, but it's completely true. When you have a baby, it's not just your relation with your son and your wife what changes you, but also your relation with your own parents. You start to see the relation from another perspective, and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? They gave me everything. And you understand what it means to become a father, and that someone made that choice to have you here means a lot. On a way, I wanted to do a film about that, about how a house where there's the lack of one parent can work, and I wanted to honor what my father did for me. It's just that I did it the other way around. In this case, it's the mother, the one that has to run this house, and I talk about the absence of a father and not a mother. So.
The film came out of the production company that you co-own with Gael Garcia Bernal. How did you two get involved with John Malkovich on this?
Well, John is a really good friend that I met in Thessaloniki. I was promoting my documentary, and he was promoting June. And we sat down, and there was this dinner for like the special guest of the night, and it was him and I, and we had all our entourage there, and we started talking, and we realized there was a lot in common. He has a company that is quite similar to ours, and he's a theater person. He grew up in theater, and I grew up in theater. My father is a set designer. I've done 30 plays or something like that. And so we started talking about theater, and I said, well, let's do one thing together. Let's do something together. And he said, oh, there's a play I did in France, and it'd be interesting to do it in Mexico, you know. And then he came to Mexico, and he directed a play. I acted on the play, and we produced the play, and it was a huge success and beautiful ride. And since then, we became really close, you know. I mean, sometimes, I mean, we don't see each other, but I can really say that I have a friend, you know. And as a director, I felt the need of this friendship, you know. In a way, the producers are the first. They represent the audience for a director, in a way, you know. It's like I'm not going to be able to react to the Q&A I'm doing today. If they don't like the film, I'm not going to be able to change it. But with the producers, you have that chance, you know. So in a way, the producers represent the point of view of an audience for a director, and it's the first time you get to show your ideas and see a reaction, and then take them somewhere else, you know. So I wanted to choose not just people I admire and that I respect their taste, but that I care about, you know, because I want to do film for my family, my friends, and that's why they're both involved in the film. As soon as I had the script, I went not just with him, but with Ross and Leanne and said, guys, I want you to produce this with me, and I gave them the script, and they said, yes, please.
The reviews for this film have rightly praised the naturalism of the startling central performance, but I do feel that critics they've really sidelined the other two kids playing both Abel's brother and sister. I think that all three of them in the film are terrific, and I'm wondering how it is you go about getting such effective performances out of these kids. Many directors, they'll say, don't work with children, stay away from it, especially on your first film, and here you are on your feature debut, working with three of them in central roles, all of them brilliant. So how do you go about doing that? What's the methodology?
There's no secret, man. It's I think it's quite obvious. It's just that directors, you know, many times, and I was an actor as a kid. I was an actor, and so I know everything that went wrong, you know, in a way. And the first big problem is that when they work with kids, they treat kids as adults. They hire those kids they can treat as adults, and that's completely wrong, you know. You have to change everything around the kids so it makes sense for a kid. And in this case, it was a great exercise, you know. It was like a workshop, constant workshop, because everyone had to behave differently when the kid was around and when the kid wasn't. Oh my God, what's that? It's gone, right?
Moving on, I think we're going to be musicked out.
But let me just tell
Sure.
you this, because the thing is, the kid never read the script, and the kid just knew what he was doing that day, you know. And it was interesting, the process, because he never felt the whole pressure of a film on his shoulders, you know. I shot the whole film in order, so I would have the kid come and say, okay, today this is happening. You remember what happened yesterday? Well, today this is happening. And he would be always very anxious and curious about what was going to happen, you know, what's happening with my character.
So he didn't really read the character?
He didn't read the character, he didn't know. At the first 2 weeks, because in the first 6 minutes of the film, he doesn't speak, he doesn't talk. The first 2 weeks of the shooting, he was not talking, you know. He thought he was doing a character that never talked. And I said, yeah, you're never going to talk. I mean, you're not talking. So the day I asked him to shout, he was so ready to shout. He so wanted it to shout, Selene, pa! You know, because he can't wait. He was, I mean, in a place where everyone was talking but him. Many of the first reactions he had are used in the film, you know. Many of the moments are really happening for him, and you can tell, you know, there's a freshness. There's a spark in the way he looks. The kind of like a feeling of an awakening, you know, and it's because he was waking up. he was finding cinema. He was finding the world of movie making, you know, that is very interesting. And that's what the film talks about. It's about a kid that comes back home and suddenly wakes up believing he's someone else. And during the shooting of the film, this kid woke up believing that he was someone else.
What were some of the tricks you learned working under other directors as an actor that have helped you prepare for this and put you in good stead?
Well, it's the other way around. As an actor, I know in a way what an actor needs to hear, you know? So I enjoyed a lot working with actors because in a way I wanted to create the perfect path for an actor to start to walk in, you know? I wanted them to have the tools they needed. I think there's two ways of directing: imposing things or getting the actors to get to the solution you believe is correct. But it's the process they have, the one that matters, you know. They have to get to the answer. Otherwise they will never own the answer. So they'll always be doing something that they don't believe in, you know? You know what I'm trying to say? So the idea here was to, work with them, but find what each of them needed, you know. And each actor is different. You cannot approach every actor the same way. I was very lucky. I mean, I got to work with fantastic actors, and Karina, who plays the mother, she's very special. So every time they talk about how great the kids were, they're talking about Karina, who plays the mother, because she was there to do her job, but also to help everyone else. You know, she many times helped me to get the reaction I needed from the kids. You know, I would ask her to come and do something different so the kids would react, and I would get that reaction. And she was always there helping me. She was helping me directing the kids in a way. You know.
You really have had quite an eclectic career. Not many actors can boast of having done both a Dirty Dancing sequel and having worked with Harmony Korine. Is directing just another way that you're keeping yourself guessing, let alone your audience?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see myself as part of the audience, you know, first. Then that's why I do cinema. But every time I want to remember why I'm here, it's because I'm part of the audience and I want this kind of films. I want to watch this kind of films, but I also want to watch this other kind of films. And I don't know, I can't answer why I do this, you know. It's a tough question to answer, but definitely I'm directing today because I'm finding in directing the excitement and the passion I was not finding in acting anymore. And
so you're going to lean more heavily this way, you think, in the future?
Definitely, yeah, because there's no way to be full-time in both positions, you know. That doesn't mean I'm going to quit acting. I love acting, and in fact it's very important for me to act in other people's work, because I've learned a lot from acting, you know. I've learned a lot from all the directors I've worked with, and the good and the bad stuff. And I still want to be giving. I still want to give myself the chance to see someone else working and to help someone else, you know. But I just think about what's next as a director, and I can't stop that, you know.
Is there any director in particular, looking back over the films you've done, that's been a direct influence on Abel?
Definitely Alfonso Cuarón. It's a guy that means a lot in my life, you know, not just in the way I see cinema, but the way I see life, and he's a friend and a mentor in many ways, you know. But I have to say, I've worked with really cool and really good directors, and I hate to have to choose, you know. It's easier to say which ones have shown me how not to work, you know, what not to do. And that's easy but I'm not going to say it on camera.
Of course, you're not going to tell us.
No, obviously not. But I've worked with terrible directors too. Oh my God, with a few that are really bad. And it's quite nice to see how easy it is to get things wrong, you know. to how easy it is to fuck it up in a film. The easy part, in fact, in a film is to fuck it up. It depends of I mean, there's so many things involved. There's so many people around. There's so many things need to happen that it's really easy to have mistakes. To not, but you know what? What's the real issue with bad directors is that they don't learn from mistakes. Because everyone commits a mistake. It's like Parenthood. I mean, obviously, it's all about mistakes, but then you have to react on time, and again, it's also about passion. And I've worked with very, very passionate directors.
Well, let me ask you about one of those. In particular, Harmony Korine. I just saw Trash Humpers.
Trash Humpers.
A couple of weeks ago, and
what a crazy and amazing film, huh? Or what do you think?
See, the emphasis for me was a bit more on crazy. But you've seen this film. Mm-hmm. And what's your take on it? Because I was sitting there thinking, like, I'm going to have to go back and second guess everything that came before it. It was that kind of experience for me.
I don't know. I love Harmony Korine. I think it's a brilliant film. I think it's a brilliant film.
I just felt like it was Gummo Redux. That he'd been there and done it, and it was that's his thing, isn't it? He's a provocateur, and.
But you have to see it after Mr. Lonely, because that's the way.
Which I loved. Which I loved.
But what I'm saying is that you have to see the evolution in his work. He comes from Mr. Lonely, from a film that is very cinematic, very like classical style, all dollies, very slow movements, this kind of fantastic world and suddenly he goes on and does Trash Humpers, and I just think there's no one like him. He's such a unique director, and so special and eloquent and crazy too,
Well,
all of that.
As fellow producers, you and Gail obviously give each other a lot of notes on your scripts and the films you're working on, but I've wondered, what is it like when you're just getting together as buddies and you were talking about the films that you've done? Well, let me put it another way. Do you have a favourite Bernal performance?
A favorite Bernal performance?
Yeah, and not a film that you were in together.
It's tough with him. Again, it's easy to tell you which one I didn't like.
Well, you can tell us that, can't you? He won't mind.
No, he would. It's a tough one. It's a very, very tough one.
Which one of those would you have liked to stab at then? Let's try that.
No. Let me. I mean, there's stuff because I see it everything he does also as a friend. There's stuff I know it was very important in his life, and the Walter Salles film. That is a very important film for him, and he's great on it. But it's not. I mean, that's not news. He's almost every time he's great, almost. But he's a fantastic actor. Even when he is not comfortable, he can be great. But that film in particular was very important for him. It opened, it revealed him many things. It changed him. And I would say, The Motorcycle Diaries is the film I enjoy the most, but not as an audience, as a friend. I'm glad he made that film. Because of who he turned to be afterwards.
And finally, what did you set out to say with Abel? And at the end of it all, what do you think you've achieved?
I don't think films should give you answers, I think film is about questioning an audience. Then the audience can get to answers, But I wanted the film to question why there's so many men that decide or wish not to be there in the day-by-day life of their kids. Why there's so many men that decide not to be part of the education and the education of their kids, the raising of their kids. Why they leave that responsibility on the shoulders of the mothers. I became a father, and I don't get it. I want to be there for everything. I want to be there every time there's a decision to make. I want to be able to choose what music my kids are going to listen to, what their games they're going to be playing, what school they're going to be going, what clothes they're wearing, everything. That's the amazing, exciting part of being a father, being a parent. So I wanted to talk about that, and I also wanted to honor that unique and very special love, and the most powerful one, the most interesting and complex one, that is the love between a mother and a son. I wanted to talk about mothers, and yeah, honor them in a way. And it's a way to honor my father and my mother, and my wife that became a mother, and I was there to watch it. So,
well, congratulations on a fantastic debut film. I
Thank
really
you.
loved it. And, it's so confident and so assured that I can't wait to see what you do next when you step back into the director's chair.
Thank you very
Diego
much.
Luna, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.